In this video, we'll talk about the age of Napoleon Bonaparte and how he rises to power during and after the French Revolution. So this is where we are going to look at how Napoleon came to power in France. We're going to look at the events and how he gained power. First event, he prevented an uprising of a mob of royalists in Paris during the French Revolution. Because of this, he's put in charge of defending the French interior. So basically, he's put in charge of defending France from foreign enemies. So kind of like the Department of Defense in the United States or Homeland Security. Next, he won battles against Austrians and Italians in Italy. Because of this, he gains territory for France, gains more land, so France gains more power, and he secures the French borders. He also defeats Egypt's Ottoman defenders, so this is where he's starting to go out and try and take over different lands, and so he goes to Egypt, and he wins control of much of Egypt. Battle of the Nile, he actually loses this battle. This is where the French naval fleet is defeated by the British Admiral Horatio Nelson. However, Napoleon escaped the battle, hurried back to France, and told everybody in France that they had won, that he had won the battle, and because of this, he was named a hero. Now, Napoleon seizes power. A coup d'etat. This is a forced transfer of power. So basically, Napoleon goes in and says, I'm taking over. There's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. So Napoleon seizes power from the Directory, which was in power at the time. And so the Directory is replaced by a consulate. This is a group of 3 consuls. So if you remember back to Rome, okay, and their triumvirates, a group of 3 rulers, okay, you notice that this doesn't work. Napoleon becomes the first consul. The structure of the republic was still in place, but Napoleon had become a dictator. Now, the reasons why Napoleon is able to come to power and take power is because people were tired of chaos and the revolution. The revolution was trying to get rid of the monarchy, and they were tired of the citizens not having the things they needed in order to survive. But all the revolution did was cause more chaos and more hardship for the citizens, and so they were all tired of it. And Napoleon came in and promised that he would restore order, peace, and stability for France. And so he issues a plebiscite, or a question, to all voters in 1804, and he asked the voters, do you want France to be an empire? Meaning, do you want France to have a lot of land and a lot of power? And the people said yes. And so by the people answering yes to this question, okay, this tells Napoleon that they want him to be the emperor. At his coronation, Napoleon is supposed to be crowned emperor by the Pope, okay, where the Pope places the crown on Napoleon's head. But when the Pope goes to place it on his head, Napoleon takes the crown from the Pope and puts it on his own head. And basically he sends the message with this, saying that the Pope does not have power over him. He is the only one that has power over himself, or authority over himself. And so that's how we get Emperor Napoleon. The Napoleonic Wars. So these are the series of wars where Napoleon's going out and trying to gain land and territory for France. France's #1 enemy is Great Britain. That's the most powerful country in Europe, and so that is their #1 enemy. In 1805, you have the Battle of Trafalgar. This is where the British defeat French and Spanish troops. We have the Battle of Austerlitz. This is where France defeats Russian and Austrian troops. And then we have this thing called the Continental System. This is where Napoleon implemented this system, which prohibited French allies and French ships, or French allied ships, from trading with Great Britain. He knew that Great Britain was an island, and they needed trade in order to be able to survive. And so if he could keep people from trading with them, they would eventually suffocate or suffer from not having all the items or all the trade goods that they needed in order to run their country effectively. And so this causes the Peninsular War to take place because Portugal, which is a very small country which depended on trade from Great Britain, did not comply with the continental system. They refused to go along with it. And so this makes Napoleon mad, and so he goes in and takes Portugal's king out of power. And then he turns his attention to Spain on his way back to France, and he conquers Spain as well. Napoleon defeated British and Spanish troops and also slaughtered many Spanish civilians on his way back to France. Now, Napoleon's reforms. This is what he did for France. Church and state relations, a concordat. Basically, he recognized that the Roman Catholic Church was the church for France, but they did not have power over national affairs. So he recognized that the Roman Catholic Church or Christianity was their religion, but they did not have power over any national affairs or anything that Napoleon wanted to have say over. For the economy, he creates the Bank of France, which creates an efficient tax collection system. So if you remember back to the French Revolution, tax collection was very, very one-sided. And so he eliminates this and makes it more efficient. He also implements his own legal system called the Napoleonic Code. This is where he made laws uniform and eliminated many injustices. Remember, when you make laws uniform, you make them the same throughout the country. He promoted order and authority over individual rights, but he did not give rights for women. Education. He created high schools, universities, and technical schools, which are technical school is like a school you go to practice a craft or a job or a trade, and he did this to help prepare men for government and military jobs. Napoleon's legacy. He increased nationalism, or the sense of identity and unity as a people, and he increased loyalty to France. So this is where people start to become more patriotic for France. This next video that you will watch, it will talk about the fall of Napoleon and how he is taken out of power.